guys in the free agent class they think might be able to come in and give us a chance to be in that game next year.
You talk about what you can control, and that's obviously the draft. Can you give us the dynamic right now with Ed Wade and not the control, I shouldn't say, the influence, maybe, impact he's going to have in making those decisions with you?
Wade Phillips, you mean?
I mean, what did I say, Ed Wade?
Yeah.
He's coming up later. Wade Phillips.
Well, Wade's just like, first of all, obviously, that's the first thing that as we looked at our situation, we made some changes on the coaching staff and feel good about Wade's addition and what he can bring and add to our football team and organization. Reggie Herring as our linebacker coach, Vance Joseph as the defensive backs coach, and we still got a couple of other quality control type coaches to hire. But we feel like the coaching staff is rounding up into shape, and we feel good about it. And we'll sit down with all of those guys, and as you know, we're going to make a transition to the 3-4, and that involves some different type of personnel. And so we've got to get in those rooms and talk to Wade and get a sense of what he wants and make sure that we educate our scouts about what it is that he looks for in those players at those particular positions and make sure that we go out and find those players and bring them into our organization.
Yeah, I imagine it changed the way you approach the East-West Shrine game, which Wade coached in, and also the Senior Bowl, Rick, as you took a look at future possible Texans.
Yeah, it opens up a little bit of a different kind of athlete for us, and so certainly, we were able to kind of get down and at those All-Star games and talk to the scouts. They will be in next week. We'll set the draft board and make sure that everybody's on the same page about what we're looking for before we head to the combine and all those pro days and then into our draft meetings.
Rick Smith with us on Sports Radio 610. The stories about Bruce Matthews going to Tennessee to play to coach with the Titans under Mike Munchak there. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, Bruce, I first of all, I love him as a man. Great to be around him for a few years. We felt like we had a situation here where he was going to be comfortable here and happy here when we had the Dallas situation. When Mike Munchak gets the job, it's a 30-year relationship that they've had, and I guess they've dreamed about coaching together, and so obviously he elected to go and take that position and take that opportunity and move his family there. So we wish him well.
Will Bruce be replaced, or was that a position that was sort of created for him because he's such a unique individual?
Well, obviously, we wanted to have him here and give him a chance. He wanted to test the waters in the coaching and, life and see if it was something that he wanted to do. And so initially it was, one of those types of situations. He has done quite a bit of work over the last couple of years. And so it may be that we hire somebody or we readjust, coaching responsibilities and assignments. But I leave that up to Gary and we'll visit about that. And if we have to hire a quality control guy or something like that, we will. But at this point, from an offensive line standpoint, we feel like we're covered with Frank Pollock, and John Benton at the position.
Can you take us through what happened toward the end of the year? Obviously, we know what the record was, and Gary Kubiak is on the record as saying, I feel lucky to be back. It was a tough year, and there were things being talked about with Gary Kubiak's job status. What about from your perspective? How did you approach the end of the season and going into the offseason and stating your case, if you will, to Bob McNair, saying, look, we're headed in the right direction. This is what we have to do?
Well, Mark, John, I'm sorry. I don't know if I had to state a case. Bob is involved on a day-to-day basis, and he sees what's going on. And so we are in constant contact and communication, and I think he understands what we're trying to get accomplished, and I think he understands, as we were evaluating the season, as we progressed throughout the season. And again, when you put yourself in a position, if obviously we got a couple of 8-8 seasons, and then we have a winning season for the first time a year ago, and we've got a good core group coming back, and we feel like we've got a chance. And so, everybody in the preseason said, hey, the Texans are the team to watch because of the things that we had done over the last few years to put ourselves in that position. When you don't get that done, it's disappointing. And so, as the season came to an end, we were all disappointed, and but we're committed to making sure that we do the things that we need to do because, I agree with Bob. If we make some corrections, this is a good football team. We've got a chance to be good. We've got a chance to realize those goals and reach those, all those games that we were watching in late January and in February. We've got a chance to do that if we just make sure that we keep the group of guys that we have together that are producing and add some players and hopefully a scheme on defense that'll help us get to where we're trying to go.
Mm-hmm. Rick Smith with us on Sports Radio 610. Rick, you drafted Kareem Jackson last year and put him in the starting lineup, and obviously it was a difficult year for the entire secondary. And, you know, people always talk about it in sports with, like, for instance, baseball. You don't want to put the pitcher up in the big leagues too quickly. You might ruin his confidence, that kind of thing. How do you gauge where Kareem Jackson is at right now? Because it was a difficult rookie season for him.
Yeah, absolutely it was. And you know, the thing about it is once you make a decision that you're going to play a young player at any position, you make that decision with the full awareness that you're going to go through growing pains, okay? And so you've got to be willing to accept that and willing to go through those growing pains. And certainly Kareem or the secondary, we didn't play at a level that was anywhere close to being good enough. And so I know he's capable of playing at a higher level. I know we're capable of playing better, and that's what we're headed, you know, and that's what we're trying to get accomplished for next year.
Texans General Manager Rick Smith joining us here in this hour, which is sponsored by Berkeley Eye Center.
Rick Smith on the Bud Light Hotline on Vandermeer Lopez, and our second segment with the GM of the Texans of just a few more minutes with him. And Rick, the Combine is coming up. What's the approach here? Because regardless of lockout CBA issues, there will be a draft. So that's business as usual, correct?
That is correct, Mark. Everything that we typically do leading up to the draft, our scouts have been out at all the All-Star games, the East-West Shrine game that we mentioned earlier, the Senior Bowl, Texas versus the Nation Bowl. So we've been out, watching players and interviewing players and talking to players and coaches and conducting our scouting process as normal. We will introduce like I mentioned, we've introduced the free agent class to the coaches, and they are evaluating those players this week. We'll have that meeting tomorrow and get a sense of what they feel like from the free agent class, and then we'll introduce the draft prospects to them next week and get them started on that process. And then our scouts are in next week, and we will set our board, our preliminary board next week, and meetings on next week. And the following week we go to the Combine. And so, it is business as usual after the Combine. We've got all of those pro timing days, and so regardless of what happens with respect to the labor situation, we will have a draft.
Hey, enlighten us a little bit. Mark and I were talking off air. You know, a lot of teams, the Browns yesterday really cut ties with a lot of players. Maybe that's a harsh way to put it, but a lot of teams are releasing players. Players are hitting the street. What does that mean if you're interested in these players? Can you do anything along those lines? Kind of enlighten us on what the process is with the CBA lockout looming.
Well, obviously those players are on the street right now. You can't, in any year, you can't negotiate or talk to other players who are about to be free agents. But what you can always do is renegotiate with your players who are about to be free, or anybody on your roster for that matter, and/or street free agents. And so if guys are available, as free agents, you can sign them. So that's, it's people clearing their books. It's clubs, and you see this from time to time. A little bit later, this is a little early in some respects, but you'll see a little bit more of this as the month continues to develop.
All right, Rick, you're on the competition committee. What role does the committee have in any analysis or push toward the 18-game schedule? Can you shed some light on that for us?
Yeah, we're involved in the process of looking at what that means from the standpoint of the off-season conditioning programs, how much time we need, how much development that we need to, because if you look at an 18 regular season game schedule and a 2-game preseason schedule, one of the most important things from our perspective that you lose are evaluative opportunities to look at young players. And so we're looking at ways that we can maybe look at training camp and try to figure out how do we make up for that lost time that we're losing with evaluating and developing players. You got to look at roster sizes, and if it impacts the roster sizes, you look at injured reserve rules, and so all of those things are on the table and things that we're looking at and contemplating and studying.
See, those are the meetings that need to be on television, Rick. Competition committee meetings on the NFL Network.
I don't know if those would be good for family viewing.
Yeah, but do you have certain guys lobbying? I mean, I would imagine there's lobbying for different things in relation to the 18-game schedule. Some guys might want larger rosters than others, that sort of thing. So you converse about these topics, right?
Yeah, no, we do, and it's a great group of men. I mean, I'm blessed and to be on that group, and it's such an important element to our league, and we've got a bunch of good men on there. We have some fun discussions and spirited discussions at times, but there's tons of respect for everybody, and at the end of the day, the bottom line is that committee, we are charged to do what's best for the game and make sure that we keep the game first and foremost, and that's what we all are committed to do.
Hey, Rick, I got to ask you about Texans free agents, specifically Bernard Pollard came on our air and said he wasn't real confident about coming back. Now, however you want to approach that topic, can you just give us maybe a priority list or how you feel good or not good about some of the Texans guys?
Yeah, and I had heard obviously when that happened. I heard about it, and Bernard is opinionated, and he's not shy about expressing those opinions, and that's fine. I mean, we've had that relationship for a number of years, and so I don't mind that. That's what we're doing. We're doing that this week. We're looking at our players. It's a little difficult with the uncertainty of the labor situation and salary cap situation and everything that is going to be moving forward with respect to parameters and how you set your team. It's hard to try to sit down and put a contract together for a player when you don't know what the parameters overall are going to be.
Right.
And so that's what our situation is here. We've met with some agents. We'll meet with agents. That process really gets started next week at the Combine, where you start to sit down and talk about, hey, we're interested in bringing these guys back. We've expressed that we wanted to bring the guys that we want to bring back to the agents. We'll start to do that a lot more next week. But the truth of the matter is it's hard to sit down and try to talk contract when you don't know what the overall parameters are going to be.
Right. Really good stuff, Rick.
Yeah, one more for you, Rick, here. We've asked Wade Phillips numerous times about the 3-4 and how different Texans personnel members fit in, but your quick thoughts here on Mario Williams and Brian Cushing in that 3-4 defense, what they might look like.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited from a personal standpoint, guys, to be honest with you, because there's that question that I missed out on the gift card. At Purdue, I played in the 4-3 defense, okay? And in Denver, we played a 4-3 defense. And here we play. So I've grown up in a 4-3 defense, and this is really my first exposure to a 3-4. From a personal standpoint, obviously we've watched it and studied it and understand it, but from the standpoint of us playing a 3-4, this is the first time. And so I've spent hours in the room with Wade, talking to him, watching tape with him, getting a sense of what it is that he looks for and how he wants to coach it so that we can educate our scouts. And I do think we've got some players, who can be productive in the system. And Mario, Wade's got a game plan for him and how he wants to use him, and he's very confident that Mario's going to be able to be a productive player. And Brian, in the same respect, as I look at the defense, there's some guys that are prototypical, at certain positions, and Brian certainly is that way, and maybe more than one. So I think wherever we put him, it's going to be a situation where he's going to be able to impact the football game, much like he did his rookie year, and we'll be able to get some pressure after the quarterback and just play overall better defense.
Hey, players are still able to work out and rehab at the facility until March 3rd, right?
That's correct.
All right, so it's got to be tough for D'Amico when you see him leave the building March 3rd if there's no agreement. How's he doing, by the way?
He's doing fine, and it will be tough, and that's why we're committed from a league standpoint of working as hard as we can work, and they're doing that, and to make sure that we do continue to have those guys around, and we've got a lot of work to do to get our guys up to speed on what Wade wants them to do, and at all the different positions, and so that's what we're excited about, and we're excited about trying to get this football team better and studying and trying to add some players now that are going to go out and make plays. That's what we're always trying to do, Mark. You know that on offensive, defense, special teams, anything. It's just about adding quality players who can make plays with the football in their hands and or make plays on the ball on defense.
Well, we feel like we could do a 4-hour show with you this morning, Rick.
Yeah, if you come on again, I promise I'll get you a gift card.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I tell you what, guys, you guys know, just during the season, Gary's out front, and during the off season, as we move into player acquisition, I kind of move out front. So don't hesitate to give me a call. I'll be on with you guys whenever you need me.
Great stuff,
Rick. Thanks so much for being on today, and happy Valentine's Day.
Thanks so much, guys. You guys take care.